Baby, hello, nakupenda sana. Hello, mama, hello, wapi baby, mapenzi tangu. Hello, nakutaka sana. Oh, mama, oh, mama.
One of the interesting things about this book, and the first thing, by the way, she is the author of this book, for Public Finance and Taxation Made Easy, is kuna tax evasion and tax avoidance. You can avoid paying tax legally.
Yes.
Please explain that. Now,
when we say of tax avoidance and tax evasion, avoidance is where you use maybe tax experts ama wewe mwenyewe. You go study the Income Tax Act vizuri, una detect kuna some loopholes. You capitalize on those loopholes to reduce your tax burden. So hata ukipatikana, or if you're caught, there is nothing they can do. They cannot penalize you, they cannot do anything because you capitalized on what is in the Income Tax Act. Lakini evasion ni ile you want to refuse to pay tax literally. Maybe una inflate expenses. I made 2 million, nasema my expenses were 2.1 million. You are inflating expenses which you didn't incur. Lakini ama evasion, I'm making an income somewhere and I don't disclose it when I'm filing my returns. Iyo ni evasion. But when it comes to avoidance, tunaangalia, for example, kuna kitu nilikuwa nakwambia, tunaitanga maybe kama allowable deduction. Najua, from my income, kama ile salary na earn at the end of the month, I can opt, from that salary, 5,000, I will be putting it in a pension scheme. Ama, I will be putting in a home ownership saving plan. It's an institution that is there. Iyo pesa ni yangu, but I opted to put it there. Naiweka hapo, I'm saving and it is my money and it will be earning me interest. But because the government want to encourage you to make sure you own a home, wanakuambia anything you contribute to a home ownership saving plan, before we subject you to tax, tunakuwa tunatoa hiyo. Remember, the higher the income, the higher the tax. Kwa hivyo, if my income was 50,000 and I'm contributing towards home ownership saving plan, maybe na contribute 5,000 per month, before ni taxiwe kwa hiyo 50, 5,000 inatolewa, I'm taxed on the difference. So unaona napea KRA less than what I would have given them. So I'm capitalizing that loophole to reduce my tax burden.
Wase wengi wajuangi pesa yao huenda wapi? That's the most difficult question. In the world of money, the biggest challenge usually is not even making money. Wase wengi ujaribu kumake dough. But shida kubwa ya utokea, can you control where your money will go? So ukijikuta kwa ngori ya madeni, one of the things you can do is to also monitor how you've been spending money. Through that, you might discover kuna vitu unaweza pause. Useme, hey, wacha hii tulie kwanza, ni deal na hii situation, nikimaliza, pengine nitaendelea nayo. Pengine nikauraibu fulani. Ama some things you might actually stop. Unaweza ukiangalia venye umespend do, unaweza sema mazee wacha basi itoshe. Unacheki. So look at your budget, check it and see whether it can release something small. Then you can also consolidate. Umeboro loans nyingi kutoka kwa watu wengi, like where I was. Consolidation is where you find one cheaper debt. The word is cheaper because it does not make sense uchukue loan nyingine expensive ujaribu kukuja kuzima zingine. So consolidation is where you pick a bigger one and come and neutralize a number of them. That helped me to bring the 86 number down faster.
86 lenders, ulikuwa unawa pesa ngapi in total?
Milioni kadhaa. I will not mention. Yes, but mamita kadhaa.
Mita kadhaa. So with those strategies, as a preliminary conversation, because I believe this is a first of many,
yes,
someone is able to come out of the trap effectively.
Na ni safari. You see, like, my journey took 3 years for me to regain control.
Okay.
Control does not mean I've cleared the debts. Control means, sasa naweza tembea kwa hizi streets bila kubabaika ati nitakutana na wewe na niko na deni yako, because we are now on the same page. Nilikuwa mpaka naweka diary zile za Nimeongea na Kingori, tumesema tuta review after 2 months. Because if I don't write, wakati Peter ata call, nita confuse nimpatie story ya Kingori. Unacheki? That's how bad it was.
Okay.
So ni job.
Tukiwa na Njoro hapa kwa show, and I believe hii ni kitu watu wengi wanaweza taka kujua.
Yes.
Ni ati ukitaka kujenga, kuna ati unataka kija 3 million, 5 million. Hautawahi jenga ukingoja ushike hiyo do ati ndio ujenge.
Si kama uko guaranteed utawahi fikisha hizo 5 million ama 3.5 million, unaweza enda kwa upatiwe construction loan. Unaona? Ukipewa construction loan utajenga nyumba yote umaliza, alafu ulipange bank pole pole.
Na kama utaki loan,
kama sasa utaki loan, unaweza jenga mdogo pole pole, lakini the right thing. But sasa ikitake long sana, weathering inaweza haribu nyumba yako.
So grace period ya kujenga na umalize ni how long ndio usiaffectiwe na weathering?
For example, kama umejenga mawe, usimalize ati miaka sijui 5 ndio unakuja kuwekelea slab ama kuweka roof. Unaona? Unajipanga, unaweza jenga in stages such that ufanye foundation, ukoroge slab, utulie kiasi.
Yes.
Ukuje ujenge mawe, alafu ukoroge ring beam, utulie tena kiasi, alafu sasa unaanza kuja uweke roof. Lakini usikuja ati unakawia sana miaka mob, pia nyumba yako.
Hiyo kutulia ikuange kutaka. Ni pesa inakuambianga utatulia mpaka when.
Of course unakuanga na nini, unakuanga na ka program tu ka venye utakuwa unafanya job yako.
Na ushaona mtu
unajipanga.
Ushaona mtu amejenga gorofa, ni incomplete, unawish si pesa ungejenga nayo bungalow complete. Ama
sasa hapo kuna wenye wewe ujichanganya hivyo. Mtu yako na do kidogo, lakini anataka state house, inakuwa ngumu kwako. Wewe sasa wewe ndio utakuwa tu unalia, umeshindwa na kumaliza, umefanya miaka 10, miaka 15, bado haiishi.
Yes.
Jua ni mtu wa kustruggle. Cheza tu kwa level yako. Si lazima uonyeshe watu ati uko na state house. Unaweza jenga kanyumba kadogo tu. Kadogo, kaklasi, kakali. Kuliko unaenda unajaribu kitu kubwa, alafu watu wanapata huko kujapigwa plaster, huko kujapigwa paint. Unaget, it makes sense. So cheza tu na level yako.
What goes on in deciding what a student can learn at a particular stage?
So any teacher who has gone through training is taught about the milestones that we watch when children are growing. Because we say learning of a human being starts from the womb. From the time the child is conceived in the mother's womb, they start learning there. And the learning continues all the way until the day we die. Okay. In between, we are learning different things. In Kenya, we use what is called the spiral curriculum. Spiral curriculum is that the simpler activities come at the base. And as we move up the ladder, up the schooling ladder or the school ladder, children are given more challenging activities by building on what they learned before. Let me give you an example. Children are taught how to count in mathematics, or what you call arithmetic, items.
Yes.
And in class 1, 2, they are taught how to count probably up to 10. Then they go on like that until they're able to count up to 100. Then they go on, and then they can count it to 200 until they get to 1,000. But who taught them how to count to 1,000,000? No teacher. But because of the basics that they have been given, later on they're able to count up to 1,000,000, but nobody will be taught, or nobody was taught how to count up to 1,000,000 in class.
There is the 844 that was the original 844. The 844 that you people have done is not 844 that was intended, including Kengori.
You are conned.
Yes. The 844 that was there is the actual CBC that we have now. Because we were doing like 12 subjects, yes, and agriculture was practically done, yes, music was practically done, home science was practically done. The cooking that used to go on in the schools, most of the schools had got powerful electric cookers.
So during that time, parents were okay with what Didymus is complaining about?
Yes. The parents were very okay because the children were developing their talents. And you would find children are very happy with what they are doing because I'm doing what I love doing. okay? Not like giving me what I don't love doing is equivalent. For me, it is equivalent to taking a fish from the water and putting it here in your studio to live here.
Yes, yes.
So the original 844 was very practical, and the children did so much, a lot of home science and practical. But later, we came and decided that the subjects were so many, children are getting tired. I don't know if the children are the ones who complained that they were getting tired, but we decided that the children are getting tired, so we decided to shelve some of the subjects, and we decided to shelve the most important subjects that would have led people into the world of work and would have made them self-reliant, because we shelved home science, we shelved agriculture, and we put all of them together under science. So what do the teachers do? They taught science and left the agriculture and home science.
Yes.
We decided that art and craft is not, arts is not to be examinable. So if it is not examinable, I will not take it seriously to teach it. So the children lost there, okay? And the government had invested so much. The workshops in the schools had got everything that you needed to be able to do metal work, masonry, name it, they were there. Then we decided that these ones are now not examinable. Then we left them. So we decided to give children, we reduced the subjects from 12 and we made 7 were examinable in the original one. Now we decided that we are going to make examinables only 5. These 5, there's nothing practical in them except science. And even now that science, because the practicality had been killed in the mind of the teachers, yes. Most of the science teachers also decided to go theoretical. They were also not doing the practicals as they are required to be done, because they also thought that maybe we are not interested so much in the manipulative part of the teaching and learning. So they went theoretical. So the children, they sit there and the teacher knows it all. The children are on the row, the guru is in front, and we give them information and we go back home.
Okay.
And the question is, how many have learned? Because the children can be in class, but they are not learning. And that's why I'm saying, now the curriculum that was 7, 4, 2, 3 was not flexible. CBC is now correcting that. The original 844 was very practical and almost this CBC. We did away with it. The 844 that we are facing out now is academic oriented completely. Okay. So the children are forced to do things that they are not interested in, and things that they are doing, and at the end of it they come back and start questioning, why did the teachers teach me this in the first place? Because I don't see it doing anything for me in the work place.
Madam hata wakijaribu kupigia agent mwenye aliwapeleka huko ni blue ticks na matusi. Embassies za hizi nchi zenye ziko huko nje, they are absolutely useless. I will say to their faces, useless embassies.
Aya, na ukisema hivyo, you say that one of the girls who went to rescue her had been given a car by her boss.
Yes.
So does this mean that there are good bosses in the same Middle East countries?
I don't want to look at the good bosses. I want to look at the people who are dying. That's where my focus is. Because I'll tell you why I'm on that side. Chepkemoi, when she was coming here, Alipoland, there was a bunch of other girls who were leaving. But on the same plane, akikuja, was a body bag of msichana amekufa akiwa wapi? Huko.
Yeah.
Now, the things that lead them to death is bad bosses, malnutrition, being overworked, underpaid. Unasikia dem ati ametoka Kenya, ulichukuliwa na ka-agent hapa mtaa, si ndio? Kakwambia, hey, they will sort you, unapatiwa contract. Unaona, hey, ni poa, oh my gosh, nitakuwa na earn sijui 50k per month. Hiyo ilikuwa ya kufunga macho ukitoka hapa. The moment you land to the other side, hiyo inachukuliwa, unapatiwa Kiarabu. Unajua vile imeandikwa? Agent anakuambia, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, we sign tu hapa. Kumbe saa hizo, what you're actually signing is like a modern day slavery kind of document. It's called kafala. They call it kafala, where you are literally sold to a household and they go up to 2M, from 1.5 to 2M.
And who gets this 2M kwanza?
Yes, the agents, there's like a whole process of ni agents, na sijui, ni chafu.
They are technically buying people.
Yes, they are buying people.
We need a national policy. The way we have a policy for coffee, and a policy for tea, and a policy for... So you need a national policy on structured labor export. How will it...
Which we don't have
Which
now.
we don't have. How will it function? I know we have the National Employment Authority, which is an attempt to try and do that. So you need a policy. 2, you need a regulatory framework. Ya kwamba, in this structured labor export, who are the players? To the Ministry of Education, that is producing the people, to the Ministry of Labor, to the National Employment. What is their role in preparing these people for that export market? For example, tunao watu wanajiita agents, wenye wanachukua watu, wanaweka ficha kwa room, they are preparing them, so they train them, they even take money from them, even prepare for you passports and even visas for you to go. So those kind of people, how do we regulate them? What is their role? So we identify, so the regulatory environment. Alafu, huko, ukifika huko, the way Philippines has done it, tuna watu wataenda, watachukua miezi 2-3, ndio wapate kazi. Unaishi wapi? So if you go to Philippines, in each country, they have even hired space. Ukifika huko, as you are being oriented on how to tarmac and even link to the right place, tuna bahali utaishi, utakula, utaoga, you know what I mean. Ukipata employer na upate shida na yeye, tuna bahali unaweza retreat. Sio kutorokea airport mpaka umenyang'anywa. So hata hii vitu ya kunyang'anywa passport. You see the reason why tunanyang'anywa passport ni kwa nini? Kwa sababu sisi hatuna policy. So what happens, huyu agent wetu wa Kenya ako na agent, wacha tuseme Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia tuna ule mtu anasema, anatembea anasema tunataka 300 domestic workers. So anaambia huyu wa Kenya. Huyu wa Kenya anatafuta domestic workers au 300. But sasa huyu akipata hawa watu 300 hawana passport, hawana air ticket, hawana insurance, si ndio? So what's happening today is that yule agent wa Saudi Arabia anakuja kwako. Anasema, unataka maid, leta pesa. So the person who is looking for the employee now pays the agent. So I pay you 100,000. Atarudisha namna gani? Anasema sasa ukipata huyo maid utatoa kwa mshahara yako. Sasa hiyo 100 ndio wanagawana, wanapea agent wa Kenya. Agent wa Kenya anakutafuta wewe, anakuambia sasa nitakusaidia kupata passport, kupata visa, kukutrain vile utafanya hii kazi, si ndio? So wewe hujatoka hapa, mtu amekulipia. And that is where and now you see, by huyo mtu kukulipia, he has taken away your power to negotiate. Si nimeshalipa?
Yes.
So nipe mtu ama nini? Lakini tungekuwa na system where sisi wenyewe sasa hiyo fund tulisema wale watu wako huko nje tungechukua hata 1% tuweke kwa kiti. Tuseme this is the fund that we will use to fund people to go outside. So sisi kama Kenya tuna embassy in Saudi Arabia. Kwa nini hiyo embassy haiwezi kusema sasa sisi tuko na watu, tuna electricians, lakini sisi kama Kenya government hii watu wanafanya nje they contribute some money, we build a kiti, yule anataka kuenda tunamsaidia, we can support them up to 100,000 ya kwamba akifika huko yeye pia ana contribute kwa hii kiti. So saa hii the way we are doing it, it is the demand that is paying, the supplier sisi tunapata. So kama mimi nimelipia mtu na nimengoja akuje na wacha tuseme nilipa 100 ndio ukuje. Sasa ukifika kwangu unataka kusema hii Masingara sio mazuri, siwezi fanya hapa kazi, na mimi nilipa 100, si ndio?
Yes.
That's why wananyang'anya passport, wanasema lazima nirudishe 100 yangu ndio ufanye nini? Utoroke. So you can see that because you have not structured it well, this system is not favoring us.
Now, what is so difficult in terms of policy that such ideas cannot be implemented?
What has happened is that, for example, I remember when I was talking to you, I told you that if you go to Dubai today,
Yes.
wewe mwenyewe utafute tu doo zako, uende ukaa hapo, ukitafuta jobu, na uko na makaratasi,
Yes.
the longest time you'll tarmac is 2 months.
The longest time.
Longest time. And if you look at the world, the way it's like last year, I think I was involved in this process where our nurses 5,000, the Kenya government, ilikuwa imeelewana na British government ya kwamba 5,000 nurses, and they will go every year until they reach 30,000, can go and work in the UK. But you see, we are not proactive. Sasa hawa ndio wametuuliza tunataka nurses. But tungekuwa proactive, sisi wenyewe tukiangalia Australia inataka nini. Tuko na team. Wanataka nini? Accountants, wanataka doctors, wanataka plumbers, Jordan, because part of what you need when we structure this thing well is that we have to have a team that says what is this country, kama ni Jordan, wanataka nani? And then we come back and locally tumeangalia pia wao watu wenye wana kazi, wamesoma na wanatafuta kazi, ni area gani tunaweza export, si ndio?
Yes.
And then when you want to export also labor, unajua kama umetrainia mtu market ya Kenya.
Yes.
Huyo mtu huwezi kuexport yeye rahisi.
Yes.
That is why ukiona wengi ambao wanatoka Kenya wanaenda ng'ambo ni domestic workers. And yet, if you go to India and the Philippines, they also export a lot of people to the Middle East. They export plumbers, electricians, mechanics, truck drivers. So the thing I'm trying to say is that once you focus on exporting your labor, then you go to the source of the labor. Naulize, wewe unataka plumber aina gani? The plumber we are producing here may not be able to function in those markets. Which mechanic, what skills should they have? So remember, there are two things also when you want to do labor migration. There's the technical skills. And these technical skills, whether it's a plumber or a mechanic or a driver, must meet minimum international standard. Alafu, tuna the social part. Unajua sasa wewe kutoka hapa kuingiana nje ya Mwarabu na uanza kufunction hapo, so you can be a first class degree, but ukiingia kwa hii environment, remember the environment is also important. You may not be able to function. So as a country, tunataka kujiuliza, tukitaka kupeleka mechanic Dubai, tunahitaji mechanic tumtrain namna gani. So now we stop training for ourselves and start training for that other country.
Okay.
So we don't just do our standard, we also get their standard. We even get them to come to help us to actually develop a program, a curriculum, a training program that will meet their needs.
When you are in a foreign country, as an African, by the way, and this is a very interesting thing, as an African in a different African country, do you walk the street feeling like, hey, by the way, these people make me feel so Kenyan? Or as Africans, we are similar in ways that you didn't feel the difference?
Oh, you feel different, especially because of the language.
Okay.
You can't hear everything passing on the streets. But then you develop intuition. You can sort of pick the vibes.
Okay.
And then you start picking pieces of the language. So you start piecing things together.
Okay.
But you do feel like a foreigner. But then it helps that we are the same color. So it doesn't feel extremely different, because I've been to Europe and I felt now totally,
yes.
But being in the three countries, I felt at home and not at home. With them and not with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for Congo, it should be easy, because for you, before you moved there, you must have listened to a few Koffi Olomide songs. Ama it does not help.
Interestingly, I never liked Lingala, but I loved it now when I got there. The language is beautiful. It's Bantu.
Yes.
So I could pick much of it. Never, I don't have a language that strength that he has.
Yes.
But I could hear. It's Bantu and they're Francophone, so they speak French. So you have to learn some French to go to the supermarket, to go to the shop, to go to the hotels and order food. You have to know colors.
Yes.
And they're very polite. Oh, and the greatest shocker was Congo. They have to do 3 kisses. And my God, I'm like, that is too close.
No, in Congo, you have to be kissed thrice.
Well, not
by anyone.
Not the way. Kenyans shake hands, right?
Yes.
That's like our normal thing. Oh, nowadays and we are hugging a lot, but they do the 3 mwah, 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 on the side though. So I think the hardest part for me was the beard. Well, I got used to it eventually, but that was a real shocker.
No, wait, kissing.
What do you call this? The
No,
smooch?
kissing in Congo is what handshake is for Kenya.
Yes, they are French. Oh, well, colonized by, no, actually not by French, by Belgians. So they speak French, so they have the French culture, so to say, for quite a bit of stuff, yeah?
Yes.
So yeah, that's what they do.
No, but instead of 3 kisses, I would rather go for 1 straight one. Sidio. Sidio. Zach, she mentioned language.
Yeah.
You say that you've learned Swahili in a record 1.5 years.
Not a record, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a record.
It's a record.
1.5 years. Did you have to learn Swahili ndio watu wasikusengenye?
Partially, yeah. But the other reason was that the work I was doing then and broader philosophy on life is if you're in a place, to better understand the people, you would want to be able to speak the language that they speak. Because so much can go chini ya maji or nime atent.
Yes.
So, if I can converse with someone in Swahili, or I lived in Coast, I can speak Giriama.
Yes.
Like, if I can get to that level, I can meet them where they're more comfortable. So we can actually enter into a completely different realm. You can build relationships you could never build otherwise. It's also for me a way to break down the visible othering that happens when I move through spaces here.
Okay.
I can't walk on Kirinyaga Road and not be noticed, right?
Okay. Yes.
So I can throw people a little bit, and then I can actually engage them by knowing Swahili.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you let people wakusengenye na Kiswahili kaende, and then you now chip in?
Yes.
Na Kiswahili?
All the time. All the time. People think they're pulling a fast one, and it's just, yeah.
What was your favorite, one that comes top of mind? A moment that you chipped in, and how that went?
The fun one that I play with is if I ever, like Uber drivers and stuff. Because the the taxi will pull up, and I'll get on the phone. Ndio mimi niko hapa. Sikuoni uko wapi buda? Niko hapa tu.
Yeah.
And then they're like, kumbe nilikuwa natafuta mtu wa Afrika.
Oh, lakini
yeah. So it's always just kind of funny that way.
Nimepata ni mzuri.
Yeah, and then you get in and they're like, aish, ni wewe.
Now
yeah,
they change the price.
That's the beauty of Uber.
You have the
course.
proof. But, okay.
Or like if I take a map.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yes.
So like I'm going like if I take a mat on a gong conductor is like 50, Tau 50, sijui nini, and then he comes to me, Mia. I'm like,